So like these six needs, it's more of positive things. If we take it in a positive way, it will raise the standards. But some people take it in negative way also. I mean, it depends. Yesterday we watched this movie Kerala Story. So some people have taken it negatively, and it can feel. I mean, it can go to a destruction mode. But the six needs is common, whatever it be it for the better or be it for the worse, right? So we just give two examples to share about a practical story which we have seen in this book, right? So about I'll share one example and she will share another story. So this story is about one story is about this couple called Paul and Jenny, right? So to give a background about this couple is married for 9 years and they have two kids, right? So initially when Paul married Jenny, I mean they were good, they had a happy relationship. But what happened over a period of time is right, because of two kids, obviously Jenny put on weight and Paul was not able to accept it because he was always suggesting her to come back to weight on he wanted her to be slim, but she was not able to understand the desire of Paul. And on the other way, like Jenny, I mean Paul always loved Jenny because of she taking care of the family, being compassionate, generous, kind, and all these things. But had this wanted this change from her. On the contrary, like Jenny, since she was married and after her first kid, so she stopped going for work. So she wanted to take care of the family, and because of this, there was only one source of income that coming from Paul, and that was not that great. So for Jenny, she felt little uncomfort because for her the primary need was certainty. That is the first need which I talked about. That is comfort. So since the finances were not that much good for the family, she was always, I mean, if we rate on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, on the certainty level, she would have rated Paul 2 out of 10. So what happened, because this primary need of her was not met, the love was not free flowing. Okay, so again there was a gap because of that. So because of all these things happening, Paul like he from past 2 years he was telling that we will get separated or will get divorced or something like that. Okay, so because of this fear, Jenny was not able to talk much to Paul. Okay, because she's feared that he might leave her. Okay, on the other hand, he was also is giving that fear just to feel significant, right? So it is like a negative reason to feel significant for him, and he also like started putting a lot of time in his work to feel significant. On Jenny, because of finances part, she started getting some financial help from her family, right? And she was emotionally bonded and related so much to her children and her sister or her parents, both finances and love and connection wise. Okay, so she was not deriving love and connection from Paul, she was deriving it from her family, and the primary need of certainty, comfort was not met by Paul. So Paul always thought, okay, for Jenny, I always come maybe third or fourth because she has family, children right before me. Okay, so again there was a gap in both the side. So maybe if you come to the solution part, if at all Jenny understands that the primary need of her, that is comfort, can be pushed to secondary need and she can put lower connection in the first place. Okay, because I mean it can, if at all there is an awareness issue, right? So if at all she knows that she can change it, I mean it can be one of the solutions.
So on the contrary, the other couple is Maria and Chris. So Maria and Chris graduated from the same law school, and they almost have two years of courtship in the same law firm. They get married, and then eventually they were like work buddies, and they went together, came back home together, and they spent a good time around each other while they were working together. And 2 years down the line, Maria gives birth to the first child, and she decides to be a stay-at-home mom. And Chris is very happy about this decision. Over, she's like, oh, she's taken the priority, and you're going to give all her time to the child. But what happens over a period of time is he starts missing his work buddy, and she is not able to give the same time that she used to give before. Earlier, whatever she used to give to Chris, she's not able to give that. And one day he comes back home and he starts, showing slight resentment that he's the only one earning bread to the family, and it's getting difficult for him. That goes on for some time. They give birth to the second child. Now, obviously, the pressure has increased at Chris' end, because he has to work more to feed the family. And one day he shows an extremely strong resentment to Maria. He says, you're just a stay-at-home mom, you're not doing anything extra, you're just, it's everything dependent on me, you're just spending money of what I'm earning. And that shocks Maria. She's like, they had a good relationship, they had a lot of love with each other, but how suddenly this started to, this is coming up from Chris. And then she realizes, she understands that he's not given the importance or the significance that he was looking for, and that he gained before when they were work buddies or confidence. And then she starts to appreciate him and tell him how important he is as a father, as a husband, as a friend, and most importantly as the head of the family. And initially Chris won't be able to accept it because it's a sudden change, right? No, none of us can accept sudden change. But it became a consistent and a constant thing that she starts expressing about about how important he is. And then he starts to realize that he was missing the love that he was supposed to give her. Although she's a stay-at-home mom, she's not sitting free, right? She has multiple other tasks that she starts handling. And they start speaking about what's happening in a day. Probably, since she also has the background of law, she starts to understand what he's going through in a day, what are the challenges that she's seeing. And in the same time, he starts giving his time to her. Probably after a day, after his work, he's able to spend more time. So like that, they started to understand each other's needs, which was significance at his end and love at her end. So like that, they started living their happily ever after. So it's very important to understand and read between the lines of your partner's reactions or behaviors. Probably there is something for us to change or start implementing to have a better relationship.
Yes. So the needs, it may be same from the beginning to the end, or it can keep changing. So every time or very often, it will be good if we sit together and reflect on what are the primary needs that each partner is looking for. And it just doesn't apply just for relationships here or a couple. It also applies to individuals, organizations, nations, civilizations, as a whole. So it all boils down to these 6 needs. So this is what we wanted to share, and I hope this was a value add. Thank you so much.